careful of your water. Oops. Hi friends, welcome back. We are attempting to get comfortable in our seats to do some Q&A. We haven't done a Q&A in a long time. And Jackson, go open the back door for your sister, please.
Oh, of course.
It's gonna be, I mean, part of the reason we haven't done it yet is like, I'm always like, oh, we're not it has to be the right time and the right setting. We have to be in the right moods. And I was like, we just need to do it. Honey, I'm recording.
You were warned.
I'm doing a Q&A. What do you need? Okay, so go to the
Why
front
don't you
door.
go to the front where your gloves are?
Now you're gonna track wet footprints of the house. All right.
Doesn't work.
Sure done. Your boots are untied. Anyway, a minute later. Hi, welcome back. We are going to do a Q&A today. About a month ago, we put out feelers for questions for a Q&A on both Instagram and here on YouTube. And many of you have been wondering when the video is going to go up. So I figured we were going to start it now. We are not going to get all questions answered in this one video. It'll probably take 2 or 3 at least because we got a lot of questions.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And yeah, you don't want to sit here for 2 hours or hour and a half. I mean, you might, but we're gonna split it up into a few videos. So I have them pulled up on my phone. Let's actually do the Instagram ones first. Maybe we'll just do that as one video. So we didn't get a ton on Instagram. This love seat is not conducive to us sitting comfortably and doing, you look comfortable. I'm like trying to,
I make it work.
Okay, so we're just gonna jump in. Okay, quit touching my head, please. Question 1. What is something you have carried on from your parents and hope the kids will as well, such as traditions and rules? I didn't have a lot of rules growing up. Traditions. I don't know.
I was saying, I'm starting to think I probably should have pre-read these.
I read them all, but it's been weeks. I don't like the way my hair is parted right now.
Birthday parties.
Birthday parties, no. Traditions and rules.
A whole ton, like, outside of, like, little stuff, like, you know, the whole, how we hang ornaments on the tree, which, again, isn't anything really special, just...
What do you mean, how you hang them?
Yeah, like, and special and important things go up toward the top and just things like that.
I guess I carried on the fact that I had chores growing up with allowance. He had chores with no allowance. So allowance is a tradition, I guess, that you could kind of.
My dad had the low mons and...
Low mons? Low mons?
Mo-mons.
Momons? Are you?
Mo-lons.
I had no idea what he was getting at.
He was trying to say mow lawns.
Snow. In the winter, you had to shovel snow, and...
Anyway. Not a whole lot of traditions or rules, I guess.
No, this is going to be one of those questions that ends up cropping up over time, which I guess it's good we're getting it all the way now. Maybe.
What?
Because I'll end up remembering, oh yeah, we do that.
Oh, yeah.
Once we...
If we think
maybe
more,
it'll
we'll
come
add
up in
to
a later
it.
video.
Yeah. Favorite shows, movies to watch, audiobook tips. So I can give you some audiobook tips. See if your library has an app affiliation with like Libby or Overdrive and get audiobooks for free. I don't pay for audiobooks hardly ever. And I listen to them at 2.35 speed. It took a while to get up to that speed, but that way I'm able to listen to more. And yes, I do understand them and comprehend what's happening. Favorite shows, movies to watch? You're more of a...
I mean, it's weird saying favorite versus current. Because, you know.
Yeah, so I guess some of our favorites right now, I would say.
Like right now, we're on the last episode of Arcane, which is way better than I thought it was going to be on Netflix.
Yeah, it's held my attention for the most part.
Based on a video game, but way better than I would have ever guessed.
I'm currently watching Castle he watches whenever he's around and I have it on, but that's one that I've been watching a lot of. I mean, I watch a lot on Hulu in my, like, after everyone goes to bed at night, I basically watch a few hours of TV if I don't have anything else going on. So, like, some of my favorites on there are The Rookie with Nathan Fillion and then Castle with Nathan Fillion. I watched the 911, Lone Star, and the original. All of, like, the medical dramas, like Grey's Anatomy. The Good Doctor, New Amsterdam.
Typically, if there's time to watch TV shows, there's time to play video games, so I don't typically watch a lot of TV.
Yeah. Movies, I mean, I don't know, we haven't been watching
I was saying
a lot of movies.
Few movies. I think the last movie that we saw that was really, really good was probably Suicide Squad.
Since you posted you have anxiety, do you suffer from panic attacks also? No. We both have some anxiety, I would say.
I have anxiety.
Jackson's over here. I have anxiety. He does have some anxiety as well. Quit chewing on your fingernails, please. That's a sign of anxiety.
I don't get panic attacks.
None of us get panic attacks in the, like, I'm sorry. I just washed my hair, so it's, like, floofy and annoying me, but it's sitting, like, super flat on top, and all I'm doing is staring at it in camera.
You're not supposed to be looking at the confidence monitor. You're supposed to be looking into the lens.
So no, none of us have panic attacks. At what age did you find out about your autoimmune diseases? This is obviously towards me. I was in my early 20s when I was diagnosed with Behçet's disease, and then it was, I'm currently 37, so that was back mid-2000s. Thanks, Jack. You need to be reading. And then
2005.
And then ankylosing spondylitis, I got that diagnosis in like 2016, somewhere around there. So yeah, that one was more recent. What is the kids' favorite subject in school? Jackson, since you're sitting here, what's your favorite subject in school? Alice's would be art or science. She likes art and science.
Science and language, because you get to sketch and draw stuff.
Well, that would be art. In our language course, there's like, they do some sketching each week, so he likes language because of that, but I would say science and art for him as well. Quit picking at your callus. How do you like Kentucky? I lived in Cincinnati for a while and felt like Northern Kentucky was underrated. The area we're in Central Kentucky, we really like.
Yes.
We moved here in 2015 from Michigan, if you're unaware of that, and which there's some questions about our move, so I won't go into that right this moment, but we've been here almost 7 years, and we like it. We've made a lot of good friends and connections in the area. We knew some people when we moved down here, so it wasn't like we were moving to a place with no connection. So yeah,
it's been a nice place to live, nice change of pace.
Can let you talk, huh? Sorry, y'all.
I'm very silent. So.
He really is. Did you and hubby both grow up in Kentucky, or have you lived in other places too? So I was actually born in Alpena, Michigan, which is at the northern part of the mitten up here. And I lived there until my second year of college, and then I moved down to Davison, Michigan, which is around the area of where I met him.
I'm from Flint, where we get that good water at.
Yeah, he was born and raised in Flint. And we lived in the surrounding, like in the same county through all of our like dating and beginning marriage until we moved to Kentucky in 2015. So we both were born and raised in Michigan and then transplanted here. And our children were also born in Michigan. So we had both kids before moving down here. How old are you and Will? Old.
Ancient.
I am 37. I'll be 38 in May. And you are?
And she's missing a couple of digits on there, but we'll let that pass.
You're what, 34?
Yeah.
He's 34. He'll be 35 in June. How to come up with homeschool lessons? I just started and I'm having a hard time. The curriculum we use, we are currently using Masterbooks, and it gives you your curriculum, like lesson plans. It lays it out. It tells you exactly what to do when. So most of the stuff that we've used have actually been like an open and go sort of curriculum. So I don't know anything else really. So our homeschool lessons are all in the curriculum that we buy. It's probably not very helpful to you. Sorry. I really don't mean this to sound rude, but why do your children constantly interrupt you?
I just have to finish my reading and then I might be able to play.
Maybe.
Maybe.
He's interrupting us right now.
I'll call you back when...
They interrupt because they're children.
I'm sorry.
And because they grow up in the YouTube generation. They see people on YouTube and they want to be involved. So
yeah, in videos and stuff, they want to be, yeah. Also, we have a pretty solid method of, we started when they were younger. If they have something to say, they're pretty good at coming up, I would say 75% of the time. And they just put their hand on our wrist. No? Not anymore?
a little generous, but.
All right, well, we try to get them to remember if they have something to say and we're in the middle of a conversation or doing something, they put their hand on our wrist, and that means that they need to say something, and then we find a proper break in conversation to include that. But I mean, they're kids and they're just excited and want to be a part of things. Why does this keep scrolling back up?
Oh my God.
I don't have questions offhand, but I love how you are teaching your kids about Jesus. God bless and keep it up. Thank you. What has YouTube taught you about life? Oy. What YouTube taught you about life? You can find anything on YouTube.
I've learned to do a lot of stuff off of YouTube, actually.
I don't know if you mean like what has our own channel taught us about life. To me, I feel like it's just taught me to be genuine and realistic, because I don't like watching other things that are like fake and really, you'll know what I'm talking. I get a lot of comments on how, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Genuine?
Well, I already said that. Like a real, like, I don't.
When keeping it real goes wrong?
What? I don't know. I guess it's just taught me to have grace and to just not to be too hard on myself. Like, you'll see, I pick up the camera whether I am like showered with makeup on or not, my house is messy or not, if I am feeling unwell or not, and the feedback I get from that reminds me that it's okay to keep doing that, I guess. Why are you laughing?
I've learned from YouTube that some people will watch anything.
That is, yes, solid point.
I'm part of that problem. I watch weird stuff.
You really do.
So do you.
Do you plan to continue YouTube when the kids get into their teens? I know that's a long way away. I mean,
not too long, about 3 years and I'll be a teen.
Jackson's 10, he'll be 3. He'll be 13. He'll become a teenager in 3 years. I don't know. I mean, we've been doing it now for 6 years.
I mean, by then we'll be YouTube millionaires, so I don't see any reason why to stop.
For myself personally, as long as I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. If the kids choose to not want to be involved in it, I mean, obviously I'm gonna respect that. Like, a lot of people are like, Jackson's never on, and it's just because he just chooses not to. Alice, on the other hand, will probably have her own channel by then at the rate she's going. She very much wants to be a part of everything.
I mean, this whole weird YouTube experiment type thing it's nice to be able to have some of these memories too, to be able to just reference them whenever we want. Like, the amount of times we'll be talking to some of our friends and end up pulling up like the video of Jackson getting his Xbox.
Yeah.
You know, just being able to offhand that is kind of a neat thing to have. So
it's like home videos. Back when, we were growing up and they had the big camcorders and like VHS tapes and they recorded stuff. Like, I feel like this is like our video reel of life.
Though a little bit more interactive in some cases.
Yeah. I was just gonna say something, I forget what it was. You were saying something
about it being like home movies is what you said, and then
I was just gonna say, I challenge you to go back. So if you go to our channel and you click on the video tab. You can sort it by newest to oldest and oldest to newest. I challenge you to go back to the oldest videos we have and look at how little our children were. Like, I sometimes still get, you won't be able to comment on a lot of old ones because back when YouTube did the whole, it was probably what, 2 years ago, YouTube like turned comments off on everything, and unless I manually go through every single video and turn them back on, you can't comment on all the older videos. But I challenge you to go back and look and see how tiny my children were, our children, the children. It's crazy. So I love going back to watch that because Alice was like barely talking at that time, and what talking she was doing basically only I could understand, and because it was like a form of gibberish that was difficult to comprehend. Yeah that's all I was gonna say about that. What did you do for work before you became a stay-at-home mom? I dabbled in direct sales for a while. I did that actually while I was pregnant with Jackson, and then up until we moved here to Kentucky, I did direct sales. And then for a short period of time, like 4 months, I worked in a call center for BMW, Allstate, roadside like assistance.
Pickup?
Until the project,
Roadside pickup?
No, assistance.
Is that where you like deliver this stuff?
No, I also did shipped. Good point. I forgot about that.
Oh. And also you crush your corn.
Why is he here? Read your book.
Reading.
So I did call center for about 4 months until that project shut down, and then that's when I started. I think at that point is when I started really doing YouTube. And not that this is like a full-time job whatsoever, but this is what I personally do to bring income into the household. But yeah, other than that, I haven't really. And
as a hobby.
Yeah. So, yeah. Direct sales, call center, shipped for a few months when, I don't even remember when that was, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
4 years ago? It was a while ago.
Well, there was one other thing that you did for a very, very short stint, not like a real job, but
mystery shopping?
Yeah.
I did mystery shopping for a little bit too.
That was fun.
Yep, that I did. And then the last Instagram question is, what is the hardest part of homeschooling? Do you have anything to add to that? What's your hardest part of homeschooling?
Making sure that the teacher is actually teaching classes.
What? On that token, motivation. Some days it's not always just the kids that are not motivated to do school. Some days it's me. But I find that with our new curriculum, master books, it's easier to get motivated because I know the lessons are not going to take forever. So we're now in our second year of homeschooling, and we're about to finish up our third quarter, if you will, of homeschooling. And I would just say that the motivation, finding what works for you is helpful in the motivation. But it's been like a blessing. I know Will was a little worried that I wouldn't be able, that it would be too much stress for me. Or I don't know if that's your exact concern, but I know you had some concerns.
I mean, it was different, so I mean, just wasn't sure. And it's, still one of those things where you worry, since it's all on you, like as a family unit, to make sure that the kids are getting a proper education, and there's really not a bar necessarily to judge that against. Yeah, and it's something I still kind of struggle with. So our very first year, I was really, I mimicked a lot of things from the public school system, and that's one thing that I've heard is very common when you transition out of a public school setting into a homeschool setting, is that you're trying to make your school like public school, and that's not at all what homeschool is. And I've really had to come into my own and find what works for us. And there's been a lot of changes. I mean, we've changed a lot of things, and there might be changes from one week to the next where it's like, okay, if that's not working, you just change it up. But it's been a blessing overall. We've met a lot of new people and friends, and the kids have got some great experiences. So I would just say the hardest part is some days the motivation is not there.
But other days, we make up for it. So the good thing with homeschool is that you can take some time off if you need to. You know, especially if I'm feeling sick or like having an autoimmune flare, I'm able to choose what to work on each day. So I guess that also threw in some of the perks of homeschooling. To me, homeschooling isn't really hard. So saying motivation, like motivation some days, like that's as hard as it gets for us. Sometimes the kids will fight back on wanting to do things.
Pushback.
Yeah. But it's not really hard, in my opinion. Jack, what's the hardest thing about homeschool? Alice is outside playing, which is why I'm only asking Jack's opinion.
Some of my math lessons.
Some of his math lessons. So, I mean, the same things he'd be dealing with at public school. Opinions?
I mean, I voiced my opinion and then I did. I mean, I'm not insanely involved in it. I'm usually at work while it's going on, though I do come home and help with the math lessons a lot, and I try to involve myself when I can, where I can.
Yeah. To hit again on the point where you said just making sure your children are getting a proper education, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a hard part at this point, but it is like a worry.
Say it was hard, it was just
no,
something,
but it said what's the hardest part. Yeah, like that's something I pray about a lot, like just having guidance and making sure, because like Alice is not, math is not her strongest subject.
Nope.
And so I have to remind myself that it's okay if she's not great at math. And it's hard for us as perfectionist type parents who are good at most school type subjects to be like, it's okay to not hit that bar that we set, because we set high bars for ourselves. And I know you even still kind of struggle with that too, like, because we just said the other day, like, I was saying it's okay to not be great at everything, and you were like, but you can be. So
always room for improvement.
So I mean, letting go of some of that has been difficult, and just nurturing her in other areas. And like, she will craft and be artistic in so many other ways during the day, and I have to remind myself that that's also part of her homeschool journey. And so just giving her the tools, and then like with Jackson, science and stuff, just, I don't even know, I'm kind of getting off tangent, but just remembering that it's okay to not be great at everything, but as long as they have a solid foundation of building blocks so that they're aware. Because like, honestly, going through, like, how often, like Jackson's learning long division right now, or he's learned it. I don't use that in my everyday life. Like, that's not everyday math to me.
No, but it's useful to know for when you do need to know it.
How often do you need to know long division? I remember how to do it. That's one thing that I do. Math I was in advanced math all through high school, junior high and high school. So I was very strong in math. And so that's something, some of that has stuck with me. But if you think about it, like basic addition and subtraction, knowing how to do those things, and knowing how to use a calculator. Because honestly, 95% of the time, an adult's going to use a calculator for something.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? Walk around with a calculator in your pocket all the time?
Yeah, right. That's what they used to say back in school. It's like, yeah. So it's just, I don't know, like knowing, I want to make sure that I'm also at some point doing like an everyday, like real life math, like balancing checkbooks and learning how to budget. Because those are things that we weren't, I don't know if you were taught that type of stuff, unless you took, like once I got to college and I was taking accounting classes, because I have an accounting degree. But I mean, I
didn't learn that in school. I know my dad walked it through.
Right, your parents had to teach that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Just, I hope that's kind of making sense. Yes, dear.
I know why I'm probably so good at math.
Why?
Because,
I'm also good at math.
Since you said that you're really good at math through junior high and high school, I think those genes in your body when you gave birth to me actually, like, kind of, like, stayed inside me, and that's why
transferred to you.
Really good at math.
Yeah. Yeah, Jackson has an affinity towards numbers. He may struggle here and there with certain concepts, but like...
But usually it's because he's rushing.
Yeah. When he slows down and does it, takes his time, he's good. And he does mental math way better than I do. Like,
same.
Like, he is very quick with mental math, like adding, subtracting, multiplying. And ever since he was little. We actually have a video on the channel somewhere. I don't know where to find it. I have a video of him counting by like 9s or 99s or something. At
999s.
Like something. Anyway, it was just like counting by an odd number, which if you think about it, there's a pattern there, obviously. But he was able to recognize that pattern at like the age of 5, and I was just like,
I don't know. I was counting by 999.
I don't think it was 999.
It was.
Okay, he apparently remembers. Anyway, that wraps up this first segment. That was all of our Instagram questions. So we will go ahead and actually close this out like a real video, even though, are you okay recording another segment? Or do you want to call that good for today?
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
I'm here.
We'll probably record another bit. We won't get through all of it today, but we're going to close this up like it's its own thing. So thank you so much for coming along. Thanks for leaving your questions on Instagram if you were one of those. Drop a comment, share some love, and until next time,
See you later.
Bye.
Yo.
we will see you later.